Happy Tuesday, everyone, and thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we're going to talk some Arizona basketball. We're going to talk a little bit Arizona football and a guy who's making big news throughout the professional sports world with a very close connection to the University of Arizona. Let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, got a lot to get to here today. First, we're going to talk a little bit of Arizona football. It was obviously an off week. Then we'll get to some Arizona hoops. Then we're going to get to some Arizona, again, that's called a tease right there. All right, first and foremost, big news surrounding Arizona football, being that ASU lost, which is always a good thing, and we've been looking for possible wins on this Arizona schedule going forward. And a big possibility is ASU. And if you watched ASU last night against Stanford, you know one thing: ASU sucks. Arizona can absolutely beat ASU. So all these people that are saying, there's no more wins to be had, I don't buy that, and I don't buy that for a second. I do believe that this team is going to I do believe this team will be in contention there and can get to those 4 or 5 wins. You also look at it, you got a Washington State, which is also very beatable as well. So there's a lot of different options here as far as Arizona possibly being able to beat a team. So again, I think a lot of fans get stuck in the entire, how do I put this? A lot of fans get stuck in the whole, this is how we looked. This is how we looked before. Nah, you know what? There's other teams out there that are struggling as well. Arizona absolutely has another win or two in it. I don't think that win's going to come this week against USC, but you know what? I would love to be wrong right here. Absolutely would love to be wrong right there. So that's kind of where we are with Arizona football. Plus, on top of that, when Arizona's got a much better offense than ASU, Arizona can actually score points. They've got good skill position players on top of that. There's a lot to like about what Arizona can do. And again, I'm not trying to be the world's biggest cheerleader, but we said going into the season, if you could get 3 or 4 win, or if you can get in that 4 or 5 win, that's great. That's a great jump board for next year. And like we said, the dirty little secret is that Arizona football has a pretty easy schedule next year. If you looked at the schedule this year and you said, Arizona, it's going to be difficult for them, it's a little bit different this coming season. It's a little bit different. And I apologize, I'm moving because I just realized that my computer is low on juice. That is on me. But there's no rest for the weary in these parts. All right, so that's kind of where we're at, though, with a little bit of Arizona football. A little Arizona football. Now, during the bye week, as we've talked about before, Arizona coaches were recruiting. Jedd Fisch, as he's talked about from day one, the lifeblood of his program will be recruiting. And again, I apologize. This has never happened before. Let me steal my pen real quick. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. But any bye week from Jedd Fisch is going to be used very well, and Jedd Fisch has certainly done that. Jedd Fisch has certainly shown that he has the potential to do that. Now, next step then we got where we are, and again, the show brought to you by Sling TV. By the way, I apologize. I should have gotten that in there earlier, but you know what? Like I said, I'm having some technical issues right here. Now, let's get to a little bit of Arizona basketball. And first thing that we need to talk about, though, now is, again, the preseason ranking for Arizona. Arizona going into the year now is ranked preseason 17 in the AP. I think that's about right. Talking with some people around the program, I think that there's a sense that, that Arizona could be better than that. And that's something that I think that we definitely should value about the Tommy gun right here, is that Tommy Lloyd has always been the dude who is leveled with us. But he said, we're going to be a tough out. And again, I love that quote because to me, it means a lot of different things. But first and foremost, it means that, this is going to be a guy that is going to, this is going to be a player. This is going to be a coach who is going to level with me. And so far, so good. He's been able to do that. Now, one thing that I do find fascinating about this year's squad, though, is exactly, and we've talked about this before, where exactly are all of these points going to come from, or is it just going to come from the offense? Because keep in mind, the one thing that is intriguing about Tommy Lloyd and his entire offense is the ability for him to just be able to set guys up in positions to succeed. And, that might sound simple, that might sound easy, but it's really not necessarily that easy because, if any coach could do it, they would do it. It's really that simple. Now, one thing that is interesting, though, about this entire squad, though, is where exactly do some of these players land on here? Because are they capable of being able to do that? And I think a lot of times you get coaches that they're just not quite capable of being able to put guys in the right spot. Now, Tommy Lloyd is a next level coach. We know that. He has certainly shown that. Mark Few has shown that as well. And that's a big part of, I think, the confidence in, I think that's a big part of the confidence here in that you've got a squad that right now and a coach who has shown that he can put guys in the position to succeed. Now, we'll find out exactly what that means, but a position or a place that'll put you definitely into position to succeed is My Solar Nerd. Here's the deal with My Solar Nerd. Obviously, if you're out in the desert, My Solar Nerd's mission is simple. Help you get the best solar system fit to your needs. The guys at mysolarnerd.com are local and understand the nuances of going solar in Arizona. They've been doing this for a long time. And while they understand too, they're not trying to pull any punches. An educated customer is a better customer. They firmly believe that if you live in Arizona, switching to solar should mean saving money. Once you're ready, they'll pull their industry knowledge to work for you, choosing the best equipment, warranties, and BBB accredited installer. They'll also help you figure out the credits and incentives you may qualify for, and they'll make sure that you transition to solar as smooth as possible by managing the entire project for you and keeping you updated along the way. Now, here's what's even better about it. Our listeners will get a $50 gift card when they book a no commitment evaluation. This promotion is only for listeners that are homeowners. Visit mysolarnerd.com and select Locked On in the How Do You Hear About Us section. Make the switch to solar on your terms. Start your research process by visiting mysolarnerd.com today and show Locked On some love by letting them know we sent you. Folks, getting solar doesn't need to be complicated. My Solar Nerd makes it easy. That's their mission. Okay, now, getting back to some stuff for Arizona basketball, though, one thing that we've talked about it before. Azuolas Tubelis going into this season is he's going to be a lock. He's got to be 18-8. And you know what? If he's not 18-8, then something bad probably happened along the way, because he's already shown that he's 15-7 at the U of A. And more so than anything, he's also shown as well that he's a player that, against really good competition, can thrive. Now, again, I think a lot of people look at last year's game against TCU, and then against Houston, where, let's just kind of be honest here. He got punked. I mean, there's really no other way around it. He pretty much just got punked out there. Now, you're certainly hoping that can change, because right now this is a team that really, how do I put this, is going to struggle to a certain extent. There's just no There's no other way around it when it comes to certain players. They're just going to struggle to a certain extent in certain situations. But Azuolas Tubelis shouldn't be that guy. And I always bring up this example that when he played USC as a freshman, when he had the Mobley brothers out there, again, Isaiah and Evan Mobley, who, by the way, might be the best young defensive player in the entire league, he balled. And there's no way out. There's no way around that. He balled out. He put up 31 and 8. And as he said, I thought that I didn't know that they were necessarily going to be, it was going to be that easy. And then when he was picked that hard, I was a little surprised. Again, he wasn't dissing on him. I think he just thought that, when you play against guys like that, you're expecting kind of that next level type, contribution, that next level type play. And, just didn't really see it. He just didn't really see that one out there. So, but that shows what he's capable of. Again, at times he's had a difficult run of things. He's had a couple spots where he just, quite frankly, just hadn't been that good. And you know what? That's okay. But this year is different. He's got to be training with the mentality going into the season that I am going to be that man. Nobody's going to be stopping me from what I'm going to do. And, and that's just kind of the way it is. He's got to get to that point where he just basically says to himself, all right, I'm going to be that guy and nobody's going to stop me. And we wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about this kind of, these kind of expectations if he wasn't capable of doing it. Again, we're not here to, throw people into, a box that they can't, control right there. But you watch him and you know for a fact that this guy can play. And there's really no other way around it. We'll find out again, though, where exactly everything is. But his head seems to be on right. And more so than anything, when your head's on right, that makes things a lot easier for you. It also makes things a lot easier as far as just being able to take care of what's on the field. And I think that's what's exciting if you're a University of Arizona fan, in that you can watch him and you know that, all right, he's got this. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but he certainly has the ability to make all of this happen right there. Now, a couple other things too that you look at with this squad and you're like, all right, I'd like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see a little bit more aggression from the perimeter players going in. Courtney Ramey, I know, is trying to just kind of get his sea legs under him, and I totally appreciate that. But the one thing, though, about him as well is that you also want him to be comfortable in what he's doing out there. I think a lot of times guys go into games and they're not comfortable doing that. And again, we'll find out, though, again, that right now we'll find out, like I said. So again, that's kind of where we're at with this Arizona basketball squad. I'm excited to see what they can do, but at the same time, I'm excited to see what they can do. But at the same time, there's obviously some question marks as well. All right. Also, another thing that we definitely need to talk to you a little bit about is SimpliSafe. All right. Now, here's the deal with SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe has been protecting millions and millions of customers for a long time. And there's a reason that so many people have jumped in there and trusted SimpliSafe with everything, because it works. And I can speak from experience. The best thing about it is that when you know somebody's there, when you know that somebody is on the other line listening to you, that it's not going to be a 24-hour, we'll get back to you in 24 hours. It makes things a lot easier, and it gives you a lot more comfort in life. And I can speak to that from experience. So check out SimpliSafe. Again, give Locked On some love as well on there when you hear about us. But there's a lot of good stuff that goes with SimpliSafe right there. And again, the reason that so many people have trusted for so long is because of what it does provide out there. It provides the ultimate security, the ultimate frame of mind. So check out SimpliSafe. We will be right back with you, and we're going to talk a little bit of Arizona recruiting, and we're going to talk a little bit of Arizona basketball as well. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now this recruiting segment is brought to you by LinkedIn. We'll get to the value of LinkedIn here in a minute, but first, it looks like Cody Williams from Arizona will not be attending the University of Arizona. That's a bummer. There's really no way around it. But I think that we're also at the point too where we're kind of at Tommy Lloyd, I think, has to probably broaden his recruiting pool a little bit. He's got to be a little bit more open to offering more than 3 or 4 kids a class, because you know what? If you don't hit on them, then it kind of leaves you in a little bit of a bind. Now, I'm not gonna lie here. Cody Williams is a loss because first, foremost, and everything, he's an in-state kid who's a top 25 kid in his class. That's a loss. There's really no other way to put that. But I think more so than anything is that he was a player that was prioritized by this coaching staff. One thing that I think that they probably need to do a little bit better job on is getting on guys early. I think that when it comes to this, when it comes to recruiting, you've got to be able to get in kids. You've got to be able to let them know early on that you want them, because you know what? Guess what? Other schools are going to let them know that. I get the brand. I get the allure of Arizona basketball. Totally get that. But sometimes you've also just got to show kids that you really want them as well. So the question is, where do you go from here? And that's where I don't know. In the 2023 class, you could go heavy recruiting. That wouldn't you could go heavy transfer portal. That wouldn't surprise me at all. You could maybe go the international route, or you find some more guys domestically. I don't know the answer to that, but I do think, and again, big fan of the Tommy gun on this show. A+ hire, been an A+ coach. Nobody's perfect. Nobody steps in and does everything right. I do think, though, that he's going to have to broaden his recruiting net to a certain extent, though. Not that it's a huge issue, because, again, you bring in Kylan Boswell, you bring in KJ Lewis, you bring in guys like that. I mean, he's done a pretty good job. Now, one thing that I will say is it's okay. It's okay. You know what? It's okay to say that Arizona is just not a good. Arizona is in not a great shape for the 2023 class, but what I don't necessarily worry about, though, is the overall impact right there. We'll find out, though. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, that's kind of where you're at right there. Want to talk about Ben Mathurin in just a second, but again, LinkedIn is the place where you go to get everything. LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic. Everybody knows that almost 40 million people have gotten their jobs through LinkedIn, and almost 40 million people have gotten their jobs through LinkedIn. And there's a reason that everybody's on it, that everybody is going there, and that everybody wants to, that gets jobs from there. It's because it works. There's no games. There's none of that. It just know that LinkedIn works. Check it out, because again, everybody else has LinkedIn, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right. Wanted to cover a little bit of everything on the show. Wanted to cover a little bit of Arizona football. Wanted to cover some Arizona basketball recruiting, obviously some bummer news as well, but also mainly just really wanted to get into the entire recruiting mix that Arizona's in. We're going to talk a lot more Ben Mathurin tomorrow. We kind of lost a little bit of time, had a few technical difficulties here, but that's kind of where everything is right now. But again, on Wednesday, we're going to go heavy on Ben Mathurin, because he has been lighting this league on fire, and it's been fun to watch. He feels like he's going to be the first All-NBA guy the U of A's had in a while, because of his funk, because of his rhythm, the way that he can elevate, the way that he can dunk, all kinds of different stuff. So good stuff out of Ben right there. And Christian Coloco showing a little bit of fight as well. It was awesome as well. But as always, we're in it every single day. Everybody out there, you have a great time. And you have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will be back with you tomorrow. Thanks for keeping